Like, for example, you came here and you hate me, but you just wanted the opportunity. No, I'm just kidding.
I just knew how big of an opportunity it was.
I'm just going to keep doing this for the entire podcast until it just settles in. That's even worse. I'm going to keep that in the video.
That's a good one.
Okay.
That's.
I don't know why this isn't staying. You know, I'm just going to do that because
that's pretty good.
I think that's...
Oh, it'll just keep tipping, and we'll just have to redo it.
We seem like we're drunk in this podcast. However, we got rid of God, and you look like your body shape kind of looks demented now. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, the angling of the camera like made you look kind of different.
Right. Yeah, which is good. It's like it's a totally different podcast now.
Yeah.
Different. Well, it's like when you have like certain, like, to make one person look taller than the other so that it seems like they're in charge. Yeah. You know, you have like a camera angle from upward or downward depending on how you want like someone to be perceived.
Which my boyfriend just told me that I need to like step up my game with like the actual visuals. He was like, your content, like the stuff you talk about is good. He's like, but your visual, he told me it was uninspiring. Like, this is like, what are you talking about?
I think this is very nice. I think actually you should make that on purpose, that it just like leans down the entire podcast, and then like it's just like, oh, and you should base that off of what you're speaking about. Whereas like at first it's like very up that you're talking about, then you start talking about death, like it starts as it gets
because I can't. You're right. I can't afford a video editor, so I'll just have it planned out like fall down.
Right. It also goes from like red lighting to blue lighting as it goes down. Like you change the lighting.
I actually have smart lights. They're not in here. They're in my room. I used to have them in my living room, but I brought them to my boyfriend's house because I was like, now that I have roommates, I don't want anyone using them anymore. So because they're expensive, but I have like smart lights that change colors, you know?
Oh yeah.
But
and then can you like do it where like you press a button?
Oh yeah. Like, if I wanted,
you got to get them.
If we got into an argument right now, I could like press a button and it could be red.
You got to do that. Yeah.
No, we're going to start doing it.
Oh yeah. Bring those in. I'm with your boyfriend. Definitely get the lights in, make it so that the camera is specifically.
Now, has this tilted at any point since I just fixed it? I think it's.
No, I think you found the place, you know?
I found the.
I was actually something that I liked doing as a kid is I would get a toy, like an action figure, and I'd find the way to make it stand up. Like it took a while. It took a while to get its feet like in such a way that made it so that it could stand on its own balance. And you know, but it's like, so there's probably only one spot where this camera actually stays straight.
It's funny, I never usually have this problem. I did want to mention something though, because I got sidetracked and I want to go back to it. So we were talking about social media and you were saying you don't like the social media.
Right.
That would be a good time for me to talk about this. So I'm currently in therapy, right? And I've been having some issues. My therapist told me that I need a social media detox. And he was like, it would be best if you could do it for like a week. He's like, but because you're in the business of music and comedy and whatever, he's like, can you try to do it just for at least a day? And it got me thinking like, holy shit, two things. Well, one, a social media detox would be very good for me, but it's so crazy how important it is to have a social media if you're a comedian. Like, so there's this part of me that's like, I don't want to lose any opportunities. Like, what if somebody reaches out to me? So it's like, how do we deal? Like, do you at any point in your life as a comedian feel like kind of like you're stuck on social media and you don't want to be on it sometimes, but you're kind of like trapped in it?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like if I have a show that I'm running and I need to promote, I'm like, well, I can't stop using it. I need to promote this show that's coming up.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I definitely had that thought where I've been wanting to get off of it, but I'm like, but I want to connect to people,
right? And it's kind of, I think we're in a weird place as a society right now because of that, because I do think there are a lot of mental health issues going on in the country, and a lot of it could be tied and traced to social media. Okay, tell me the truth. Are you somebody who's hooked on like the likes and stuff like that? I know a lot of people are. Are you into that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I have at times done okay with likes, but mostly I've done not very well at all with getting likes on
So does that affect you? Like,
I not really, because I prefer to use it a little bit more for fun.
Okay.
You know? I enjoy live performances much more than anything like that. But there are times that I'm scrolling through especially Instagram.
Yeah.
And I see people who I know.
Yeah.
That's the worst. Is the people that you know start to do well on social media.
You start to do the comparison.
A little bit of a comparison game. But then you see people doing even worse than you, and that's really nice. Like that. And that's a really nice feeling. Is when you see
shit! Look, the camera got down again. Let's put it back up. So no, that's actually true. I guess there's like
you see like your friend you see like a buddy of yours get like 23 likes on something, and you're like, oh, good. Like, I'm happy he's doing so poorly.
So my therapist just told me to turn off the likes counter. He's like that. He wants me to change my relationship with social media because it is a negative thing for me. It's a toxic thing for me personally. Maybe it isn't for everybody, but it probably is for a lot of people. But so I pretty much agreed with him to turn off the likes counter. I mean, if you're really a psychopath, you could still go in and like individually count the likes, but you won't see it immediately. And I have to at some point schedule a social media detox and just accept the fact that I might miss out like 2 weeks or 1 week of opportunity.
And even turning off the likes, I wonder if that's actually good for your content, even where it actually looks better. That when you're just posting it that way, you can have something that someone says, "Wow, I like that," and then they see that it has 10 likes and they think maybe I didn't like that. Like this way they can actually make an informed decision and make a decision on their own.
Do you think some people who see that if the likes counter is turned off, do you think some people might think, they probably just did that because they're a loser?
I think that a little bit, but I also think the other side also, where I think because I see something that's good and I think, maybe I don't know, because I liked that. So you got to think that other people are also, and by liking, I mean I enjoyed that. Yeah. So you got to think that people are also enjoying it. So if anything, it's taking away people's own free will and free thought by seeing how many likes are there. Yeah. And if anything, I'm less likely to give likes if it got a lot already. Like
too, when you become obsessed with the likes and comparing it to your friends, my comedian friend got 90 likes on this post and I only got 20 or whatever. When you get in that mindset of comparing that and counting the likes and becoming obsessed with numbers, you kind of like you get removed from the moment and you forget why you're even doing it in the first place. Like the whole point of doing it is to have fun and to enjoy yourself.
Right.
And I think when you get caught up in that stuff, and it's the same thing with YouTube, like I'm just like, whoa, when's my next subscriber coming? Like I need 1,000 subscribers or more in order for me to not hate myself. Like, and it's just like, we're kind of missing the purpose of doing this.
Yeah.
Like what's the purpose,
Right. Yeah. I've been doing the TikTok recently for Comedy Fight Club.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Right. So I wasn't saying the TikTok in general. I wasn't using the term the TikTok. So I was doing the TikTok the other day. No, I was doing the TikTok for Comedy Fight Club. Yeah. And I've been working on it. Like it's felt a little bit more like a job, which is actually a good thing. For social media, I think it actually makes me feel more positive about it. Whereas think like, oh yeah, this is crazy. Like this is just a numbers game, and it's so being able to detach myself from if something does poorly, I think okay. So
I understand what you're saying, because it's not really for you, it's for somebody else. You're able to see it as like, I'm just trying to do this, and it's not really a reflection of you. It's just part of
and a lot of them do well, and then every so often one is not doing so well. And if that happened with my own page, I delete it right away. Like I would think like, oh, I don't want something that's not doing well. But now I'm I perceive a little bit differently, like even in terms of how the math works with it, I perceive it differently. But even the emotional side of it, and actually, it's funny that you talk about detoxing away from using social media. Yeah. I haven't been working on my own social media because I've been working on this. I feel much better.
What the?
I do feel. I didn't even fully put that together. That's why I've been feeling better. That I haven't been putting so much into my own, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's why.
Yeah,
I feel better comedically. Like not just in and of yourself. It's also as we connect to our art as ourselves, right? Just to a large degree, and I feel better artistically so much. I
feel like the past year or two in particular, I've noticed myself slowly becoming removed from my, not to be weird, but I've been noticing myself becoming really removed from my actual soul and my spirit, and I'm becoming very like wanting to do things that have instant gratification. Like I find myself not even addicted to social media, but addicted to the phone in general. Like I feel like, I don't know if you have that or if you had that in the past before this like accidental detox, but I find myself like checking the time constantly or checking my emails constantly. There's like nothing. Yeah. Like I can't focus on anything anymore. And I do think a lot of that is because of technology.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. You know, I still do that. Yeah. I still, how much of it are you attaching to potential success, would you say? Like do you want these things to, do you want to make bigger connections, even if it's not,
the social media stuff is success related, but the actual technology addiction is like something else in general. Like I find myself just reaching out for my phone and swiping now sometimes, like even when I don't know what I'm gonna hit. Like I'll just like grab my phone and just start swiping. Yeah, it's like completely crazy.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and the worst is when I'm scrolling through whatever it is, Instagram, whatever, and I realize halfway through, I'm like, I've seen all of these posts already, and I still keep swiping through. I'm still doing it. Like I've seen all these ones. I don't care.
I actually have a stand-up bit. I haven't worked on it a lot, but it was the subject was how like I'm so scatterbrained now because of social media that I was like, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I find that when I like masturbate to porn, I simultaneously check my email. I like make a joke about it, like, and I go into it, but I haven't worked on that bit in a while. I want to go into it because it was received well, but like, it's actually a true story. Like I just can't focus on one thing anymore. It's like, I'll be like masturbating and then be like, oh, what was my email? And then like, I want a punchline in the joke, like I end up coming to my credit score or something. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? It's like something weird like that.
Yeah, that's great. And I've seen there was one meme I saw a little while back where I was legitimately proud of myself for putting down my phone so I could watch TV more closely.
But it's true.
It's true.
Like, because even when I was watching, we were talking about Stranger Things. I've been watching Stranger Things and I finished it, but there have been many times where I was watching the show and I was like looking at my phone while watching the show. It's like, I feel like a different human being. And like going back to what I said, I don't feel connected to my spirit anymore. I feel like very highly distracted. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
Oh yeah. And when I really want to enjoy something, I put my phone on the other side of the room. You know, I try my best to actually keep it away from myself.
That's smart.
And then at the very least, it makes it so that I have to reach to go get it, and at least there's some kind of action to that. You know, and it's probably not. If anything, it's worse, you know, like where I'm still going to get it, you know, it's more of a sign of how addicted I am. But I try to put it on the other side of the room when I'm watching a, you know, big Yankee game or a show that I really want to be connected to, because it's just an easy distraction. I have found that it's definitely a crutch, because I was actually watching this show Staircase. Have you heard of this? No. It's about like a true story about a murder mystery, but at times I would get like kind of like scared. You know, I would be a little bit like you know, about the actual story, and so I would grab my phone and like scroll through just to kind of chill myself out a little bit, just to kind of detach. But it's detaching myself. You know, it's clearly detaching myself from.
Like being in the present moment.
Being in the present moment. And I use it in a positive way in this particular moment, but for the most part, it's usually pretty negative.
I just ordered a watch. Oh my God, here we go again. I just ordered a watch on Amazon because I feel like that might be a step towards like putting my phone down a little. Okay, here we go. I feel like having a watch might be a step towards putting my phone down, because a lot of the times it genuinely starts with, what time is it? I have somewhere to go in a few minutes. And just by tapping the phone to check the time, I'm like lured into like whatever. Oh, I saw a notification while I checked the time. Let me go in here. Let me go in there. So I just ordered a watch so that now I don't have to pick up my phone to look at the time. It's not here yet, but I ordered it on Amazon through my phone. And this is going to sound pretty nuts, but I actually wanted to order a shock bracelet. Like, you know, the shock collars that they use for dogs. Yeah. I was like, this is serious. I need to fix this. I wanted to order a shock bracelet so that every time I felt an urge to like use my phone, I would just shock myself to try to like beat the habit. But the shock bracelet was like $150. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to need to save up for that and like just try to like learn how to control myself on my own, you know?
Right. Yeah. That's definitely a pretty extreme way to keep yourself from using social media.
So I got the idea. It wasn't my idea. I got it from Whitney Cummings. You obviously, you know who Whitney Cummings is. So on her podcast, she had a shock collar because she kept using the word like too much.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, no, never mind. It wasn't using the word like. That's me. I use the word like too much.
Yeah.
For her, it was, she kept interrupting her guests, and she kept getting complaints in the YouTube comments that like, you always interrupt her guests. So her assistant made her wear a shock collar, and every time she interrupted her guest, she would shock her.
Wow.
So I was like, that's not a bad idea, like if you're really trying to beat a bad habit, you know?
Oh yeah. You could also like prick yourself and bind your feet. That might, you know, whatever ways you can like hurt yourself physically.
Yeah.
You know.
So I want to talk to you about, before we get too deep into this subject, I wanted to bring up the roast battles.
Yeah.
So you're very much affiliated with these battles. You do a lot of judging. Do you do roasts yourself or mostly the judging?
Yeah, I got into the roasts a little while back, and then got pretty entrenched in them. I'll say.
Yeah.
When talking to non podcast hosts, I would say that I did get pretty big in the roast battle world, where I was headlining at comedy clubs and doing some pretty significant roast battles in my day, and I still do them from time to time, the roast battles themselves, and pretty prominent ones. I have taken a little bit of a step back
to focus on regular
stand-up and to focus on kind of just other things, even within the roast battling, like judging is fun, and I do the other stuff within Comedy Fight Club, like the end of the show stuff. Roast battling, it's exhausting, writing all the jokes that you have to do, and also it's just you have to create. For me, well, I do a persona. I do like a particular character.
Yeah, I think I remember your character's voice. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's kind of just me yelling and saying really bad words. Is generally my roast battling persona, and I've kind of lost track of liking it. You know, I started doing roast battling, and I thought it was really stupid roast battling, and so I was able to vibe off of thinking it was really dumb by making fun of it, while also I was kind of making fun of the audience and saying, you know, my perception of roast battling when I first started watching it was, I was thinking, these people are saying the worst things you could possibly say. This is crazy. So if they really want to say the worst things they can possibly say, I'm going to say even worse things. I'm going to say things that are even worse than what they think is like the edge of where they're allowed to go. I'm like, I'm going to go even farther than that. So I would say I've said some pretty obscene things. It's
really funny to me because in real life I am the most sensitive person. I get my feelings hurt very easily in real life, but for some reason at the roast battle, my mind is able to like make that separation, and I'm game. Like, you fucking bring it, bitch. But if anybody said any of those things to me in real life, I would be devastated. But on stage, I'm like, okay, I can very clearly, distinctly like separate this. There was only one thing that McCracken said that hurt my feelings, and we talked about it on the podcast. He said I had a fupa as one of the jokes, and I told him on the podcast, I was like, that hurt my fucking feelings, like genuinely. And the reason is because like I'm a fitness, you know what a fupa is, first of all, right? It stands for fat upper pussy area. And I was like, listen, that hurts my feelings because it's not a fupa. It's just lower belly fat that I can't get rid of. And I'm so into fitness, and like as a female, it's so hard to have a flat stomach. Like, I feel like a guy who works out every day has like ripped with like 6-pack abs, but women are just naturally like have body fat, like because, you know, to give birth and everything. So I'm like sensitive about it. So I was like, that one hurt my feelings. I was like, but everything else was cool. Right.
Well, yeah. And that's the something that isn't offensive in and of itself, whereas there's other things that are a little bit more like intrinsically offensive that you're like, I don't care about that one.
It's crazy because he called me like a whore and like all kinds of stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm game, but that one thing, I was just like, the fupa thing. Right. He was like, that's the one that hurt your feelings. Like I thought cunt would. Like, and I'm just like, no,
because you don't even think of it. For one thing, going into a roast battle, I'm sure you have this where you think, okay, he might say this, he might say that. You're trying to psych yourself up to not be offended.
I thought I didn't get any jokes like this, but I thought I would end up getting stuff that was like, the only reason you get book shows is because you're a girl. Like I thought that's the type of stuff I would get, and I didn't get anything like that. So I was pretty surprised by Sean McCracken's jokes. I thought they were very clever and creative. But no, going back into like what you were saying about liking the roast battles and then starting not to like them at a certain point, I'm at the phase where I like them because I've only done 2 of them. Both of them went well, so that was another part of it. But the other part of it is because I felt like I'm such a competitive person that it forced me to take the jokes more seriously. And then in the process, I was like, oh, this is how you write jokes. So I was like, I've never done this for my regular stand-up, but I like very formally thought them through and like set up a punchline. And I thought about all these things like, oh, don't let them say the punchline before it happens, like everything. And I was like, I've never put this much detail into my regular stand-up. So it kind of gave me that element in that aspect, but I could see at a certain point how you could get tired of it.
Oh yeah, well, but I've also done I've done a million of them.
Yeah,
you've done 2 of them. I there's a chance I've done 100. Like
and then probably at a certain point you probably recycle some of the same jokes.
Oh
you're
yeah,
another fat guy. Like let me bring out the fat jokes.
Right, exactly. And you find ways to use them. Yeah, which can be fun. Like it can be fun to reuse things because then the guy kind of gives you a look like you reused that. And like I sure did. And like that's even a little bit of a roast within the roast, like you're trying to trick them a little bit. But yeah, like one thing that I've said about roast jokes, you were saying that you found the way to call him fat and a retard, and like you were like bing boom boom, like you were like had the math equations flowing through your head. I have found that within stand-up, you can write about anything, right? You can have any emotion about anything. That there's no limits to stand-up. In roast battling, you have to be mean, and you're writing about this one person. So you know the emotion you're supposed to have, and you know your subject. So it does kind of
narrow it down.
It narrows it down, and it makes it so that then you can focus on the writing. So that then
and kind of like going back to the TikTok thing, it removes you from it in a way.
Yeah,
like you're not so personally attached to it because it's not really about you and your life. It's about this other person, and like you're kind of given this very specific task. So it really kind of removes your inner critic or whatever. Well, not your inner critic, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. It's like
you're just a vessel for the jokes. Whereas when you're doing stand up, you're talking about yourself and about what you like and it's very personal.
But if you can kind of take that approach of like, okay, how could I be a little more mathematical about these personal subjects? And it's funny, I see a parallel between that and songwriting because I write a lot of songs. Like I write a lot of chord progressions on piano, but whenever I sit down to write lyrics to my songs, I feel kind of like very insecure about it. But I remember I was working on a project with somebody else where it was their wedding and they wanted to co-write a wedding song like for her to perform for her husband. And I wrote that song like instantly. Like it just came out of me because it wasn't about me. It was about this guy's, their wedding. So I was like, oh, I don't give a shit about that. Not that you know what I mean? Like, so I was like, how did I just so effortlessly write a song for somebody else? But then when I try to write lyrics for myself, I like hate it. It was just weird.
Cause they're giving you a subject and they're giving you the way they feel, or at least the way that they want to feel within this song. Whereas if you're writing about something, you feel one way one day and then you feel a different way the next day, so you think, oh, I need to change all these lyrics.
Not only that, but I feel like this needs to be so amazing because it's me. It's like very egotistical. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I find with music also. So this is my thought that I've had, where one of my best friends is a musician also, and one of the things I talk about is that music, there's technically a perfection within it. There's like there's more of an equation for the way musical notes are supposed to interact with each other. So there's a little bit more of a perfection when it comes to that. Whereas comedy really is just a mishmash of like, you could say anything. You know, it's just like words in general. Well, and that's where the lyrics come in, is that you can just say whatever comes to mind. Whereas musicals, there's some limitations. There's some, there's the geniuses who kind of find ways around the limitations, but there's a little bit more of a structure that you kind of have to keep to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's true in comedy to some extent too, because there's the rule of threes and there's ways to tell jokes.
Learn about that stuff. I do have a comedy like workbook that I could start reading. I haven't read it. I haven't finished reading it. I read like the first chapter and like gave up because I that's how I read everything. Like, I'm not a very good reader, but I should go back into that because I don't really know a lot of those rules, like the rule of three and stuff like that.
Well, that first chapter will probably tells you stuff like that, rule of threes and things like that.
What is the rule of three? Because somebody tried to explain. Okay, we're gonna do this again. Somebody tried to explain to me the rule of three, and I didn't like understand it. I didn't get it.
So usually it's, if you're gonna do something 2 times, you might as well do it 3 times. It's like a
magic number, kind of.
Yeah, it's the magic. And there's a lot of art that follows that, like even like photography even follow. They do the rule of 9s, but it's still within 3s. The way, like, if you were to tell a joke, you have the setup where you say the joke, and then you say another example of that, and then the third one is a misdirection. Okay. So you do, here's a cat, here's another cat, and then here's a dog. Explain
to me misdirection again, because that I also didn't understand.
Misdirection?
Someone tried to explain that to me, and I just didn't get it for some reason.
Right. So it's you trying to make someone think one thing's gonna happen, and they know this one thing's gonna happen.
Okay.
And then something else happens.
Okay, so the cat, the dog thing.
The cat, and then the dog. Yeah. Like, so yeah, that's like obviously a very simple example, but you make them think that something's going to happen, and then most jokes are misdirection. Yeah. That's where a lot of humor comes from. And then as time has gone by, people have used the idea that everyone thinks they're going to be misdirected. Yeah. And now they're trying to trick them into thinking that they're going to be misdirected, and then they're not misdirected.
So there's like a playfulness, like about
there's levels of misdirection that people play with. Yeah.
It's funny. I was talking about this with another podcast guest. There are some techniques in comedy that I don't even know what they're called, but I know Louis C.K. does it in particular, and every time he does it, it's so funny to me. But he does this thing, I don't know what it's called, but he does this thing where like he starts talking about a joke. Not a joke. He starts talking about like a premise or whatever, like a bit. Then he somehow tricks you to thinking that the bit is over. And then I don't know if you listen to Louis C.K., but then he does this like turnaround, and you don't even like, you didn't realize that you were in the same bit the whole time. Yeah. I don't know what, like it sounds crazy, but he just does this kind of mind trick where like he kind of fucks with the audience, and you're like, holy shit, we're still in the same bit from the beginning, and we thought we were in a new bit, but we're actually in the same one. Like, I don't know what the hell it's called, but it's like a thing he does, and I'm like, that's some advanced shit right there. Like, I can't do that yet.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's like interweaving like stories.
Yes, and he does it in such a way where it's like you realize you were tricked. You're like, oh wow, I realized I was tricked, and that's kind of like the punchline in itself.
Yeah, and it happens. It's like a twist. You know, it happens in movies and stuff where there's, he actually went to film school, so he probably even knows how to tell these stories in such a way that's specifically meant to make you forget about something specific that's really important. It's like, well, I want you to forget about that, because then I'm going to bring it back up, and then you're going to freak out because you've forgotten about it, but now I'm reminding you of it. And that's also a callback is another way to describe that. Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it. What's that? What's the callback?
A callback is you mention something at the top of a joke, and then you make your way through the rest of the joke, and then you bring up that thing that was at the beginning of it. Yeah. That was kind of a setup that was that was a joke.
Yeah.
The setup, usually a callback happens to something that was also a joke.
Yeah.
And then you...
That might be what Louis C.K. did, and maybe I just didn't know that's what it was called. It was like a huge one. It was like it was like a callback that like so much time had went by, and then he called it back later.
Yeah, like, it's like a Russian nesting doll of a joke. Where you have this joke, and you think that's a pretty good joke. Yeah. If that was the whole joke, that'd be good. Yeah. And then it gets the layers, and then finally it goes back to that first joke that you thought was good anyway. Yeah. And then you think, and it's doing two things. One, it's telling you another joke, and it's making you remember this other joke that you really liked, and then you go crazy, like things that you're like, that's why wild. He brought that up.
No, I know what you're saying.
People go crazy over callbacks. People love callbacks.
No, it's very interesting. I'm gonna do this. I actually, what's weird, I kind of like that now that this thing keeps moving. It's like a funny part of the podcast episode. Right. This has never happened before.
And you can use your hand being so close as the...
By the way, it looks so disgusting transition. When it's that close. Like you could see you could see my age when you look at that, my hand that close.
If there are any palm readers out there, let us know what's going on.
So we were actually talking before about how we're both in our 30s. Your birthday's coming up, August
10th.
August 10th, his birthday.
August 10th. Come on out.
Send him a present.
Come on out to my house to my birthday.
Oh my God. I don't know why I just thought of this, but you did something that was so funny on St. Patrick's Day that had me dying. I screen shat it. Yeah.
Screen shot it.
Yeah. And showed to some of my friends. You were hosting a comedy show, and you had all people named Patrick. It was like a comedy show on St. Patrick's Day, and everybody was named Patrick except for like even the girl was like Patricia, but you had like one Italian guy.
One guy named Steven. That's the see that, and that's like perfect. That's the misdirection. That's the joke. It's almost like the right. It's like so the all Patricks is almost like the setup to the joke that also there's a guy named Steven. I was really happy about that.
I was dying of laughter when I saw that. I remember I took a screenshot and showed my boyfriend and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's really funny.
That was funny because it's also pretty spectrumy a little bit. I'm thinking like I'm gonna make everyone named Patrick on this show, which is great.
How were you able to find all those Patricks?
It took me a while. I had a few no's from the many Patricks that I know. Because people who I haven't talked to in a while, I'll be like, hey man, can you come do this show? I think like it's so good. It was funny just messaging all the Patricks, and then when I finally put out the flyer, I had this. So I asked all the Patricks, not telling them that that's what I was trying to do. So then I finally put up the flyer with all the Irish flag and everything on it and all that. And then the guys, when they were tagged in the post, they were like, "Oh, now I see." Everyone was very happy with. Everyone not on the show was very happy. Everyone on the show is probably thinking, "What the fuck's your problem?"
Now that joke could have been taken even like a level further if the person that was not Patrick was like something so opposite from Irish, like if it was like Muhammad or something.
Oh yeah. That would have been funny.
Great. I don't know, Steven. I don't know. I thought for some reason I remembered it being like an Italian guy's name, but maybe
Duca
was an Italian guy.
Was his last name?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely got Italian. It's also because if you knew Steven Duca, he's just like a funny dude. He's just like kind of like a eccentric, really funny guy. Yeah. And it's even funnier that he's the person who is the non-Patrick in it, because he's just like this.
Like, hey, what's up? What's up? How did that show go when you introduced everybody? Like, were the people in the audience laughing?
At first, like people were not with it. And then eventually I went even deeper into it. I was like, well, this next guy, his name is totally Patrick.
And they like picked up on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they got it right away. It's pretty clear when you see the flyers like that. Everyone on this show is named Patrick, and it's the St. Patrick's Day show. So it's one of those things where people do get it intrinsically pretty quickly, because it's like it's base level exact. People know what they're in for. So then you have to try to find some other level to the joke. So that's another thing, is that there's levels to jokes.
Yeah.
That one, there was only one level. There was only one. There's certain things where there's levels to jokes. That one, there was just
like
one.
Very cut and dry.
Cut and dry.
This is exactly what this is.
Yeah, everyone on the show's name is Patrick, and that's the joke. And and the thing is, especially, there was one guy who is just a total nut who was on the show. He's like, he might be actually crazy. And then there was another girl who, it was her first time doing comedy ever. So I was just like, their names are Patrick.
You can't pick the quality of the comedian if you're focused.
No, right, yeah. And the thing is, some of the best Patricks that I asked did not show up. So that.
Do you still host shows?
I'm running one tomorrow, and I'm hosting that also.
And you live in New York City, like not that we want to give away your address in particular, but like Brooklyn or Queens, like
I live in Queens.
Oh, nice.
And I'm from Staten Island, which is where the show is tomorrow.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So wait, you live in Queens and you're from Staten Island.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep, Staten Island. There's a bunch of comedians from Staten Island who we hang out.
Yeah.
It's cool.
We hang. We cool.
Yeah.
We cool.
Yeah, some cool dudes. Those are some of my favorite guys, the Staten Island guys, because you should see the group chats.
Tim
worst
Dillon?
Stuff. Oh yeah.
I think he's from Staten Island, and he like makes fun of it so bad.
Oh yeah.
He hates everything. Like he always has a way of kind of roasting everything in every place like he goes. But he like talks so much shit about Staten Island, but he's from Staten Island. So, but he was like talking about how there's like a very specific prototype of person there, that it's like a fat guy with like a cigar, like every person.
Right. Yeah.
Which you don't look like a classic Staten Islander.
Well, yeah, I travel a lot just in general. I enjoy going all over, and I was just in Dallas the other week, like a week and a half ago, visiting a friend, and I was in Rhode Island not too long ago, and I was I've been all over the country at least, and I've noticed that there's always room for like a corn-fed white boy. No matter where you go, there's always like farm-fed white boys in any state you go to. So that's me. Like I could just be like someone who's like throwing hay and stuff. No matter what state you're in, there's always room for just a normal white dude.
You travel a lot. And how many states have you been to?
36.
What's the weirdest state you've been to? Like in the sense that
Utah.
Because I was literally just like talking about this the other day with someone. I was like, what do you think like the most redneck state is? Like that if you go there, it's just like such a different culture than New Jersey. But what was weird about Utah?
They're all Mormons, and it had and sometimes you go most places and you think, there's still gonna be the same types of people that you see everywhere. There's still gonna be like the bro and the nerd and the this guy and that guy. This girl and that girl also. But then in Utah, everyone's just like, hey, hello. Hi, come to our place.
I'm kind of a weirdo. Like, I want to go on vacation there.
Yeah.
Because I love weird stuff like that. Like, I want to go somewhere where the people are like, where I'm like watching a new speed, because I feel like in New Jersey we're very diverse here. We're like, we see a lot of different things, like you said, like there's that person. I want to go somewhere like that where there's just like a breed of people and like they're weird, a little different. Weird to me,
legitimately different.
Yes.
Well, I also went to Alabama, and it was Alabama. You could tell it was Alabama. Like I was in
what was Alabama about it?
They were just like, they were dog like this and very slow, and especially like it's funny because the people who I interact with most when I go to places are comedians. And generally speaking, comedians are a little bit quicker. Like, so they're going to be pretty similar to the highest end of personality. Like in terms of, they're going to be a lot of type A personalities that you're going to meet in comedy. But then when you go to the delis in a certain place, that's when you see the real people. That's when, like the gas stations. Yes. Where there's this lady who's like, oh, hello, precious. Like, what would you like? I'll ring you up.
Now, when you go to places like Alabama or Utah, do they recognize that you're different? Like, do they see you as kind of weird? Or they're like, oh, that's one of them fellas we've seen on television. Like, is it like
I don't think so, because I guess maybe like a hipster would have that response to some degree. But I think, like I said, I think that I look I look like a soldier, so that kind of fits everywhere. They're just like, oh, hello, sir. Thank you for your service. And so or just like a
what makes you
a guy
think
who plays
look like
softball on
Is it like your face shape?
Oh, the haircut. But that's an exaggeration. But like I just look like a guy who plays softball on Sundays. Like that's who I look like, a guy who really likes baseball. And that works everywhere. I could go to Japan and they'd be like, yep, this guy likes baseball. That's all he needs.
I feel I went to South America and I blended in there because I went to Uruguay, which was specifically a country with like light-skinned Spanish people, Hispanic people. I guess Spanish isn't the right term. Mm-hmm. So I kind of blended in because the people there look Italian. So
right. I
blended in there. But I think probably if I went to like Utah or something.
Well, and I'm sure you got pretty tan, right? You got pretty tan. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, like funny story about that. Okay, time to rotate this. Funny story about that. I traveled by myself to South America, and when I, as a single female, like I wanted to make sure I was safe. So I specifically dressed differently when I went there, and I kind of dressed like a little hardcore. I put an eyebrow ring in and I wore like combat boots. Like I just wanted to look like don't fuck with me kind of thing. Right. Uh-huh. And, like I didn't like look very feminine. Like I didn't wear makeup or anything like that. Like I wore like baggy clothes. Like I was like, I want to go here and I want to look like not like something you could target. Like, I don't want to get raped. Basically. Mm-hmm. So I remember when I went there, the tourists were afraid of me.
They thought you were a local.
Yeah, like they thought I was like, okay, so apparently in South America or other countries, pickpocketing is extremely common, and in Uruguay it was like a problem there. So I remember this one incident in Uruguay where I was by myself, and I remember feeling scared of like some guy that I saw, and I was like, this guy looks creepy, like I need to not be alone. So then I remember I got really close to a couple that was walking together as a way to look like I was with them, and then the couple noticed. Like I didn't want them to notice. I was like, let me just kind of walk near them so it looks like I'm with them. And the couple noticed and they looked at me and started running.
Yeah, well, when you were walking like this, I'm like, yo mami,
I think they thought I was trying to pickpocket them because they saw this like random bitch with like baggy clothes and like I looked like what's that broad that people either love or hate her music, and she's a pop star and she was young.
Avril Lavigne?
No, not that one. Billie Eilish. I feel like I looked like an older Billie. Like the way I was dressed, it was like hardcore and like baggy clothes. And like I just remember. When
was this that you went?
Oh, I was like 27, and I'm
okay.
27.
Isn't that how old Billie Eilish is?
No, she's young.
Is she like 20?
She just turned like 20. Yeah, she was like 18 or 16 or something when she came out. Yeah.
Man. Crazy.
Yeah.
How long were you in South America?
2 weeks. So what happened, a lot of people like think it's sketchy that I did that, but what happened was I got invited to a trip to Las Vegas. I like a girl's trip to Las Vegas, and I purchased the ticket, and then after a while I thought about it. I was like, I really don't like have any interest to go to Las Vegas whatsoever. I feel like it's just going to be like in a more expensive Atlantic city. Like I feel like it's going to be tacky or something. Wow, literally all my cats are in here right now, and you're allergic to cats. All three of them. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, they're kind of surrounding us a little bit.
They want to be part of the action. Mm-hmm. No, so I remember like after purchasing this ticket to Las Vegas, I thought about it, and I was like, I don't even want to go to Las Vegas. What am I doing? And because it was like a girls' trip, it wasn't like a one-on-one thing. I was like, I could back out of this, and I'm not ruining their trip. So I told them, I was like, you know what? I changed my mind. I want to go. I couldn't get a refund for the plane ticket. I just got credit. And I was like, wow, what am I going to do with this credit? And I went to school for Spanish. So I was like, why don't I utilize my Spanish? Like, fuck it. Like, do something like that. So that's why I went to Uruguay. And I went just by myself for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's quite a place to go by yourself.
Well, here's the thing. So Uruguay in particular is a very safe country. Like I would not go to Brazil, or I mean, they don't speak Spanish in Brazil. They speak Portuguese, but I wouldn't go to Venezuela by myself or anything like that. Mm-hmm. That would be dangerous. But for whatever reason, Uruguay happens to be a very safe country. That doesn't mean nothing happens. Like I said, pickpocketing is a thing, but it's not like the kind of country you're going to get like abducted. Like it's not that type of place. Like something like Panama, like yeah, that's like if you, as a single woman, if you go on vacation to Panama, like your head's gonna be cut off and like something's gonna happen.
Put down the canal. Yeah.
But Uruguay in particular kind of reminded me of New Jersey. It was like super diverse, and they had like beaches and cities and like bookstores, like it was like very chill there, you know.
The Uruguay shore.
No, I remember there was this one like shore called Piriápolis, like Montevideo. Yeah, it was like totally chill.
So you were like the Snooki of
yes, I was like, no, but I totally
Uruguay.
blended in there. Like everybody looked Italian, so I didn't feel out of place. It felt I felt more home there than here. Like everybody there looked like me, you know?
Oh yeah. We should go back. We'll have a comedy trip. All the Jersey comedians.
I would love to go back, quite honestly.
Yeah. That sounds great.
I'm sure. I don't know.
So you've been to South America, and North America. Have you been to any other continents?
No. I was supposed to go to Italy, and then like the pandemic happened. I actually bought a ticket to Italy. And I bought it like right when the pandemic happened. I had it was like literally 2 weeks before things shut down, and like I didn't see it coming. It was like that type of thing. Yeah. So never went to Europe. One day, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure. That's not that hard. Yeah. I mean, I guess I've been a couple times to Europe.
Really?
Yeah.
What countries have you been to?
I went to Paris. And
shit.
Yeah, man. And
man. We gotta fix this again.
And London.
Oh shit! You went to London?
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
So just those two countries you went to? Yeah,
France and London. I guess I stayed over in Switzerland.
And which country did you like better, London or Paris?
I liked London a lot, but I was also older. I think I was 20 when we went to Paris, and I think I was a little bit like, I want to go home. Like I was a little bit,
being a little bitch.
I was being a little bitch. Whereas when London, I was a little bit more. I had opened up my my experiences a little bit, so that was. Did
you go by yourself or with like a group of people?
I went with my family. I went with my mom, sister and aunt to Paris, and I went with my mom to London.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. The London trip, we went to see was Doctor Who. He had a convention in London, and my mom wanted to go, and she just was like, "Do you want to go with me?" Yeah. She didn't want to go alone, so I just went with her to London. It was pretty sweet. Oh shit,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
what was the weather like in London when you went there? Was it cold?
It was a little rainy, but it wasn't that cold. No. Okay. It was pretty nice.
How was the food?
It was good. It was just a bunch of like meat and beans and just meat and beans and tea. Are
you on any particular diet these days? So like, do you eat whatever you want?
I eat whatever I want. My girlfriend's a chef.
No way. Yeah, you should have brought her. What the fuck?
I know, it's pretty dope.
You should have brought her. What kind of cook? Like, what does she do?
She does like high end stuff a lot.
I'm so jealous of you. I mean, like I like to cook myself, but I wouldn't consider myself like a high-end chef. Like I kind of just wing it. I just learned how to make mashed potatoes for the first time the other day. Prior to that, I had been doing it completely wrong. I put them in a blender, which is like not mashing.
I don't know. I just wouldn't do it. Like that's the only difference is that you do it wrong, and I just wouldn't do it at all.
I mean,
I'm just like I'm only kidding. I'm sure that would be fine in a blender.
No, it's not. It's like very milky. Like, who would think that mashed potatoes need to be mashed? Like, that's why they're called mashed potatoes, not blended potatoes. No, I do it wrong, and then I, like, go online and read what I did wrong. But I never, like, for some reason when I cook, I always just try to use my intuition. And sometimes it's good, and then sometimes shit like that happens, and I'm like, all right, I tried to make this just by like trusting my gut, and it was like I looked up how to make mashed potatoes. I'm like, I literally did everything wrong. Yeah. And then I kind of like learned from my mistakes. I'm
good at making breakfast. That's the only thing I can kind of.
Funny, my boyfriend too.
Yeah, I can like make like good over easy eggs. I can make French toast. Yeah. Oatmeal.
I always tell him like, you're such a good breakfast cook, and I'm like, that's so condescending. Like like you're so good for breakfast
and making the simplest meal possible. Yeah.
Eggs? You into the eggs?
I like eggs. Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What's your diet?
I try to stay away from gluten. I don't always like. I kind of have like on the weekends I cheat, but during like Monday through Friday I'm like pretty strict about it. I don't eat any gluten. I don't eat any, and then same thing, Monday through Friday, I don't eat any sugar that isn't natural sugar. So like I'll eat fruit or honey or whatever, but I won't eat like ice cream or candy or chocolate or anything like that, but on the weekends I'll eat that stuff. So I kind of like Monday through Friday I'm pretty strict, but I'm not even that strict. Like I know some people who are like, I don't eat fruit, like they're just like won't touch anything with sugar, and I'm like, no, like I'll eat natural sugar. I would say my only like rules are just no added sugar, you could say, and then no gluten. That's it. And then on the weekends I kind of eat what I want.
Yeah. In the summers I'm I'm hyperactive, not hyperactive. I'm very, very active in the summers, and I'm like playing sports and going on hikes and constantly moving, constantly outside. So I eat whatever I want. And I'm still in like pretty great shape on a consistent basis. But if I were to tell someone, oh, I eat whatever I want in the winter, people would be like, yeah, we could tell. You look horrible. You look sick.
What
you look
phase
sickly.
Are we at now? We're at.
This is summer. Oh, why? Wait, wait a second.
No, you look good. You look good.
I think I look. I'm surprised at how good I look during the summers.
You were gonna say how good looking you are.
Well, no, I just mean like how good of shape I'm in during the summers.
No, I was literally just saying before, like he told me he was 30. I'm like, wow, you look great for someone who's in his 30s.
Yeah. Well, because I just keep active. But then in the winter, I look like I'm a fat 40-year-old man, just like sick.
Dad bod.
Yeah. Without a doubt, like I don't leave the house. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Like as a woman, I always feel the need to like lose. Like I feel like a lot of women are like, I need to be skinny, and I go through some phases where I'm like, oh, I need to lose weight and be skinny. And like in my mind, I'm like, I'm not in shape unless I'm like super skinny. But then recently I looked at a picture of myself from last year when I was really skinny. And I was like, holy shit, I looked horrible. Like what? Like, I don't know why as a female, like, cause I feel like a lot of females go through this. They're like, you have to be super skinny in order to like be good looking or attractive. And then like I said, I looked back at those pictures and I'm like, wow, like I looked so sick there. Like it's good to eat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like being in shape as a female, being in shape doesn't have to be like a twig. Like it's okay to be, you know.
Yeah. It's important to work off whatever you're putting in. That's generally the case. Yeah. Even I eat a lot, but it's also because I'm like I work lifting things a lot of the times. I do like heavy lifting type jobs.
Those calories.
I need most of the calories. I don't need all the calories that I put in my body. I don't need an entire thing of Oreos.
So what's your
no one needs that.
I was literally just gonna say, what's your guilty pleasure, like the thing that's
whatever's in front of me. That's my guilt. Yeah, I currently have a stack of Oreos in my apartment, and the only reason I haven't eaten all of them already is because I just wanted to give my girlfriend a little bit of a chance. But if they're there tonight, still, I'm eating the rest of them.
So, as your girlfriend who's a chef, how does she feel about the Oreos? Is she disgusted by that? Because she like probably cooks with good things.
Oh yeah. I'm never not hungry, so it's not like she's saying like you're spoiling your dinner. I'm making this nice thing. You're not going to eat. I'm like, no, I'll eat that too. I'll eat that also.
I don't know. Me personally, as someone who cooks, I'm very like big on like. I like fresh things with like olive oil and real butter. Yeah. So something like Oreos to me, I'm like, oh, that's so processed, like, oh, gross. So I'm wondering if your girlfriend feels that way. Or
no, and I guess I'm able to enjoy both sides of the spectrum of food because she makes food so good. Yeah, like it's like you said, like it's the perfect oils and she's puts like seasoning salt on things.
See, like I'll make things that are fatty, like high in calories, but they'll still be fatty in like natural ingredients. Like I'll put a lot of grass-fed butter in my food, so it's like it's not necessarily like you could still get fat off of it, but it's not like candy. Like it's
oh yeah, right. Yeah, I eat candy. That's right. Great point. But I eat candy, but I just eat a candy whenever I can. Like whenever I have the opportunity. I'm so jealous.
I wish I could eat all that shit. And
it's just like a different type of shape, right? Like that. I enjoy being a tank. Like I enjoy being heavier than my body maybe should be, just because I like just being strong. Like I like being able to run into things and break my fingers constantly, but but it's just like a different type of I guess it's like it is the calories in, calories out, right? Like as long as you're burning them, and I'm pretty active, so I do burn them.
Right now I'm happy with, I feel like right now I'm at the weight I should be, and like I was saying before, earlier in the month or like 2 months ago, I thought I needed to lose weight. I was like, oh my God, I need to lose weight to be in shape. And then I was like, no, I'm actually like at the right weight right now. Like I don't need to lose any weight. So I'm kind of like, that's a good place to be, where it's like, you're at a good healthy weight.
That's which is great. Yeah, and I feel that way too, because it really, I joke about it, but during the winters I really am like, man, I'm getting fat. Like this is like actually happening. I guess I'm just gonna be a fat guy now. Like I'm just gonna become a fat guy in a little bit of time. Yeah. And it's not like I haven't lost all the weight. Like I've lost like an enough weight where my knees feel much better. Like my knees started hurting because I was like, I've never been this heavy. I was about to be 170, which would be a lot for me, and so I was like getting pretty big. And then I lost like almost all the weight, but not all of it. And then it's like kind of it's like a line graph, like where it's trending upwards, like where it goes down a good amount, but then it keeps going up, and then it goes down, and then it goes up a little bit more, and it's just gonna keep doing that until I die. I can't wait
to see your pictures in the winter when you look fat.
That's when I'm bulking up. I'm like a boxer, like in the winter, where I'm like just like, hey, what's
at
up?
The roast battle. McCracken told me one of his jokes was, I'm gonna give away this joke. Sorry, McCracken. He told me that I had the body of Roger from American Dad. Do you remember that?
Which one's Roger? The alien? No.
He's like an alien with like a really tiny head.
Oh, yeah.
Huge. Like he's just pear-shaped, I guess you could say.
Right.
But like dramatic.
The alien friend, right? Is that Roger? Yeah.
And then like I told my boyfriend the joke, and my boyfriend started laughing really hard. I'm like, wow, it must be true of that. like because he gets it.
Right.
But no, I get what he's saying though.
That's a good thing.
I don't know.
He's in great shape, that alien. That alien is in such good shape.
What he was saying is that I have smaller breasts but a larger ass, and I think that's a good thing. But when you compare it to Roger from American Dad, it makes it sound like very unappealing.
Right.
Anyways, so we're getting, I like to cut these off at an hour because, we all have attention issues, and we have to make sure that you can catch the train.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut it here. So again, this is Pranzata Podcast. Let them know where they can follow you or whatever, all that stuff.
Oh yeah. Patrick Haggerty Comedy. Also Comedy Fight NYC on TikTok and Instagram. Check it out.
That's him. That's Patrick Haggerty, a comedian from New York City.
I'm the comedian.
The one and only from New York City. And this is, again, podcast episode number 61. And I apologize again about the horrible camera work today, but I kind of like it in a weird way.
I'm also going to be here in 8 episodes because 69.
Oh shit! Woo! Everybody wants to take 69. Like everybody's been like, "Can I come?
Can I just come for 69?"
Yeah, not literally, but
right for the episode.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Bye.